Hey everyone, and welcome to another SEO tutorial. So this one is about some of the things that we're seeing going on in the business world. They will affect your SEO, but more importantly, it's about your entire business. So lately there's been more and more of these large, like even nationwide and international websites and apps that want more access to you. So some will go ahead and ask you if they can go ahead and become a user on your Google My Business. Now, they'll send you an email, and I'll jump over here and show you what it looks like when they are requesting access to your Google My Business. So let's go take a look at that. Okay, so you might get an email that looks something like this, and I apologize for the blurring here, but this will be where your actual business name is, and this will be where your actual business is. Okay, and I apologize again for the blurring, but it'll look something like this. It'll come from Google My Business, and it'll say something like, an organization has requested ownership. And that's one of the key parts. It's one thing to make a person or an organization a manager, but to make them an owner is a totally different thing. This happened in the not so far past, and I won't bring up any exact names, but they did some pretty questionable things, and then there were some lawsuits come out where big organizations and big tech were trying to take over everyone's information, right? They were putting in links, they were taking some of those that should have gone to your website, to your menu, to your services, to your appointments, and they were sending them to another business instead of you. And they could argue that, well, yeah, this was a good idea because we're helping you. We're helping to manage that for you. But in reality, they were just building what's called a sheeple plan, where they get all these businesses to turn around and do work for them. So instead of coming to your website or to go through your appointments, they would go through another company. So you would lose a lot of SEO juice because of that, and a lot of control. And of course, if that company ever wants to start charging or wants to jack up the prices, you have no way except to find someone who knows a lot about tech to go in and fix all these broken links, and all these things that used to go to you instead would go to this other business. They were trying to control it. All right, so let's go take a look at what this happens. Again, this is the email, and it would come across and it would ask for something. And of course, maybe you would just talk to them on the phone, or maybe you had upgraded your account and you're like, oh, only thing we need to do is upgrade the access to Google My Business. And you just trust them. The problem is that they do a lot of things, and I'll go ahead and jump over now. We'll go into Google My Business, and you'll be able to see one of the examples of how they take over control. Let's go take a look at that. Okay, here we are inside of Google My Business, and I apologize for a lot of the blurring here. Okay, so if we see the first thing that happened, I'm going to come down here to where it says users, and I'm going to click on that. Okay, and again, I apologize for the blurring here. So when you come in here, you'll see that this was previously the actual owners, the owner of a little real estate group. And then some others are actual managers. But now the primary owner is now this third-party app, is now this third-party website. You, the actual owner of Google My Business, the actual owner of the company, you're no longer even a manager. You're no longer even an owner. You're only a manager. Meaning you can't remove these other folks anymore. This nationwide or international app, this international company, now is the only owner of your Google My Business, right? That's obviously a bad thing. You've now lost control of it. And you may think, well, that's okay. I'm willing to do that, which I think would be really bad. But even if you understand that, another thing that is a problem with that is if you have given them, and in this case, I think this is what happened, is that instead of going in and doing the hard work and setting them as a manager, instead they have the login for the actual owner. They said, oh, it's too complicated, it's too tough, or it's too time consuming, I'm too busy. Let me just give you our login. That's really bad. And I'll give you an idea of why that's really bad. Let me close this up here. So to give you an idea, if you're the owner of this, you can then come in and change the website. You can come in, link, and you can change the appointments link. You can create product, you can create services. You can do all these things as the owner that would help that nationwide or international app instead of helping you, the actual business, right? So they can change those links, they can do the posts, they can even act as you, because they're the owner, they can act as the business page. That means they can go to, let's say, YouTube, and they can make comments. They can, this even, and I'm not saying this one is doing it, but in the past, there were ones that were even going back to their own Google My Business, and they were going back to their own YouTube channel and making comments, good comments, about this nationwide or these international apps, right? So they are taking your account and acting as you, making comments, doing +1s and doing all these other things as the business. And of course, if the business is so busy that you can't even actually add them as a manager and instead give them full access and ownership, odds are you're not monitoring it to know. So you don't even know that your business is now going on YouTube and liking, sharing, commenting, right? Subscribing. This is one way that they build the sheeple plan. And of course, they can always come back and legally say, well, you signed the contract and you it was in your best interest, right? It gives you a bigger footprint, where in reality, they're just helping themselves. To give you an idea of how dangerous it is, if we go over to Pinterest, right? If you have given them your own login, now if they want to come over here and get logged in, whether that's on a mobile device, a phone, or on desktop, and then they come over here and instead of logging in or getting signed up, what they do is they say, oh, I'll just continue with Google. And they will become as the business on these different sites. It used to be called Auth02, which is just a technical thing, but that's what it used to be called. To be able to jump, you no longer have to make an account. You just go in as Google. Well, they're going in as you, right? And they can, again, just like YouTube, they could go into Pinterest and they could go onto their either nationwide or international app and +1, click and like all of the things on their page. And of course, that waters down your business profile. So it's really dangerous to go ahead and give someone access to your Google My Business. It's really dangerous to go ahead and give them the ability to be the primary owner and to knock you out and to be only a manager. So I hope this helps in keeping you a little safe and a little more informed, because yes, even though there are large international and nationwide apps and nationwide businesses, they can still do things which are questionable. They can still do things like make themselves the owner, and then they can do anything, right? They can delete, they can go, if they're inside of your Google account, they can then go into your Google Webmaster Tools. They can change all your links. They can go inside of Google Analytics. All of those parts of Google, they can get into your Google Shared Drive, right? They can become you. So I can't tell you how important it is not to give someone your passwords and not to give someone else ownership of your Google My Business. There's really almost no reason for a different business or a different person to be the owner of your Google My Business. All right, thanks, and I hope this helps.